Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and every now and then it's fun to get away for the modern reels for a moment and go back in time and well, try to keep some of those survivors working. And today I'm going to be working on a Pflueger SkilKast, and it's a number 1953. That might be around the year that it was actually made. This one's noisy, but otherwise working. It has probably what is close to its original braid on it. If it's been changed out, it hasn't been changed out in quite a few years. And we're going to show you how this reel is made, show you how to service it, and well, how to keep that going for a long time to come. Pflueger was, well, it was the company formed by Ernest Pflueger, and Ernest Pflueger had 4 sons, and so you'll see every now and then 4 brothers reels, and well, that was his operation as well. They were headquartered out of Akron, Ohio. They were a competitor to Shakespeare at the time, and the reel that we have here is pretty much what the basic reel was all the way into the 1950s. At that point, you saw the introduction of spinning reels, and well, that kind of changed the game in terms of what was used. And this one probably would have been used in the freshwater environment. Spinning reels like the Mitchell 300 and the like took over after the war, and well, as they say, they never looked back. Modern bait casters, well, they're the low-profile bait casters that you find in the market today, but this one has all of those features and probably then some. It has the line guide, the worm gear, a drive gear, and a spool, of course, to bring in the line. This is what's commonly referred to as a knuckle buster reel. It turns both ways. There wasn't an anti-reverse on this one. And well, that when you cast, the reel will turn backwards, possibly hit you in the hand, hence the name knuckle buster, if you weren't paying attention. Well, enough of the history lesson. Let's get started. If you like these types of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you do subscribe to my channel, please use that notification button. That will let you know when I'm posting, and well, you can see if that's a reel you like. These were sophisticated, simple machines. How's that? They took a lot of engineering and design. They're not to be looked down upon at all. And well, they were just fun reels in a general sense that didn't take much to take them fishing, and not much to break. The more we add sophisticated features, the more pieces and parts go in there, well, the more that they can fail. All right, a couple of things. You want a part strategy, and you need to take pictures. The part strategy says, what am I doing with all these pieces and parts that come off the reel? And how do I know where they are when it's time to put them back on the reel? Well, my answer is I use a parts tray and take pictures, particularly if you're working on the older reels, where you may not have a schematic or something to guide you, because those will become important later if you have a memory lapse or if something just doesn't seem to be working right. Every now and then I get the questions from viewers. The reel was working right before I took it apart. I took it apart, and can you help me now? It's binding or something. All right, we removed the side plate screws from the drive side. We move the 4 screws that are holding this line guide on. This line guide should be able to come off now, just simply pulls out. And then we can take the side plate off of here as well. And well, it tells you that this hasn't had any love or attention in quite some time. That's why it is squealing. And that's our job today, is to make it, well, squeal less, right? There is a plate on here that holds your drive on. There is the spool underneath that. And the first thing you want to do is just make sure it's clean. For that, I'm just going to use a little bit of a rag in the form of a paper towel and some penetrating oil, just to see what we can get done in terms of getting some of the old dirt and debris off of there. Same thing holds on this drive plate here. And so William Shakespeare and Ernest Pflueger were competitors. Eventually, Shakespeare purchased Pflueger, I believe it was in the late 1940s or early 50s. And well, if you find a Shakespeare reel that's named President, that is before the merger, because after the merger, Shakespeare took the President name and put it on Pflueger reels. So today you'll find Pflueger Presidents in the marketplace, but before the merger, that was actually Shakespeare's brand. You can see just a whole bunch of dried grease, dirt, and debris on here. You can also see how relatively simple the reel is, in that there's a main gear which is going to turn the spool gear, and it's going to turn the line guide mechanism. So there's not even idler gears or things like that that you would find on modern reels. As I mentioned, there is no anti-reverse. All right, clean up the back end of this. I'm going to leave this braid on for now. It's just a kind of historic note kind of thing. I imagine I'll take it off at some point. Right now, I just kind of just appreciate what it is. There's a pin on this side, which is going to go into your back end of the housing. There is a thing on here that's an innovation. It's called the thumber, mechanical thumber, and that's going to enable you to put pressure on or release pressure from the spool. We'll make this pretty, I think, while we're at it. If I can find a little scrubby pad. I have some rod and reel cleaner here. It's Pen Rod and Reel Cleaner. That does a real good job of taking the debris, the film, and the like off. It's kind of a 2-in-1. It's a cleaner and a polisher, so it did a nice job there. All right, let's go back to the spool. We did put a little bit of grease onto this side. We've heard it kind of begging for grease there. I'll put a little bit into that adjuster. There's also a little bit of dirt in that channel where the spool is going to ride, so I'll use a cotton swab to clean that dirt out while we can. While I'm at it, if you have any questions about a fishing reel, maybe you're working on one, maybe you're curious about the histories of these, maybe there's something else that's on your mind, if you want to leave that question in the comment section, I will try to answer that for you. Okay, with the spool seated, you're going to put a little bit of grease onto the spool gear. The one behind the spool gear is actually the click or bait alarm. We'll take our black bridge plate and put that on. There we go. Just make sure it goes on all the way, if you will. All right. On our bridge plate, we know we have to put the main gear. We're going to wipe the main gear down. Have main gear dirt on both sides. You can use a bristle brush, pull that off. That would put my towel there, so let's do that. And then pull that through the teeth. Make sure that all these teeth are nice and clean, because they got to intersect with the two gears. This gear is going to drive both the spool, and it's going to drive the line guide. All right, nice amount of grease on there. Grease on the post. I'm going to put this in. You want to merge that with your spool. Right now you can just test, turn it, it's going to turn nicely. And then the last piece here is the actual worm gear. It's very clean and hasn't had oil or anything in quite some time, I suspect. Just going to oil that. See if I can get the pole cover off here. Sometimes you can't. I'm removing the pawl cover so that I can remove the pawl. And this technology hasn't changed in decades. You still have poles driving line guides today. This one's very clean. There's no dirt or debris on there. Just going to insert that back into the carrier. Apologies if my hand is getting in the way. And then put pressure on that and turn the line guide gear here so that you can seat it properly. Bring that back over the top. And then we have what I call fun with little screws. And little screws don't get to play very well together. However, I do enjoy working on these old timepieces, if you will. A lot of fun. I would encourage you, if you find one of these wherever you're shopping, maybe a flea market, although they're pretty rare flea markets today, maybe a thrift shop, maybe an antique shop. Find one, go ahead and buy it, and then play with it. Put it in and see how you do. Okay. One more piece to do the cleaning on. I'm going to use penetrating oil and a pretty dirty paper towel at this point. And mop that up as well. And an interesting little click mechanism they have here. It's almost like a wishbone. I'm not sure what they were using to lubricate this. It's gone, whatever it was. Almost looks like a graphite compound or something. Maybe somebody took some door ease or something from a graphite, threw that in there just to kind of make it work. Unfortunately, it doesn't work very well. A little bit of grease into the slot. This one does have a bearing adjuster on the side. And we'll do this one more time with the rod and wheel cleaner to clean up the other side of the case. Well, if I didn't mention it before, if you have any questions on this reel or any reel, maybe you're working on one, maybe you have a question about the history of a manufacturer, maybe you want to know more, I do try to share what knowledge I have, and if I can help you with that, then just leave it in the comment section. I will try to answer those questions for you. Generally speaking, I answer those the next day. So if you're leaving one in mid-afternoon, probably won't get around to answering it that day. I'll probably wind up giving you an answer 10 o'clock in the morning. I do try to answer those questions before I start doing videos and that. But once I'm doing videos in real repair or running errands or whatever, it's kind of hard for me to look back and clean up the comment sections. Okay. Still trying to start these little screws. There's 3 of those in the case. There's 4 of those that hold the line guide on. I can kind of hardly wait to see. I'm pretty sure we're going to be quieted down. I think this thing's going to be working beautifully. So if you've never tried fishing with one of these, I recommend that you do that if you have one. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun, and you'd be surprised with the performance of these reels. Okay, 2 things. This arm has got to go into the slot in the case here, and then these 2 side plates need to work their way in. Need to align for the screw holes, and then we have these little screws. If I thought the one screw was small, these are even smaller. Well, one of the things that I kind of talk about every now and then is what's on my bench. How do I set my shop up? What tools do I use? Things like that. One of the things I actually want to talk about right now is appropriate lighting. When you're working on reels like this, make sure you have enough lighting that you can see what it is that you're doing. A lot of times, well, some of these parts like this are pretty difficult to line up and make sure that they're being seated right. In my shop, I have an overhead fluorescent light, 2-bulb light. But whatever it is that you're using, make sure that it's providing you ample light so that you don't get lost or distracted by it. And I'm having a little bit of difficulty getting that one in. So let's see if we can't move over to the other side and get that one locked in first. As I mentioned earlier, me and the little screws just don't play well together. Okay, we're just going to put that last one in now. Then we want to make sure all of the case screws are tightened. If you took that screw out, now's a good time to go back and check them all. Alright, I'm excited about this one. I think that it's going to work beautifully. And I'm going to do what I've suggested that you do. I'm going to put it on a 5-foot rod bait caster. I don't have the one that's age appropriate. But for a 70-year-old reel, not too many of those rods have survived. But I'll grab one. It's a traditional closed face bait caster rod, 5 feet. And we're going to give it a spin. Alright, you want to remember that these are adjusters. So if the reel seems tight, we have the ability to move that spool. I'll take that glove off. Keep transferring dirt and debris on here after I cleaned it. So what did we do? We took the reel apart completely. We saw that it had old grease in there, or no grease. That's was our conjecture on the cause of the noise when we started this. Took it all apart. We explained we're leaving the braid on for now. We'll probably take that off and put some modern line on there. We showed you how to remove the worm guide assembly with the line guide on it, how to remove the pawl, check the pawl for dirt, oil, both of these. We talked a little bit about the mechanical thumber, and well, if you need to tighten it, you go in a clockwise direction. If you need to loosen, it comes in a counterclockwise direction. The idea of thumbing is that you could use your thumb to roll that adjuster while you're fishing, kind of like a drag. Tighten down on the spool. It's going to make the spool turn a little bit more hard or firm. If you want to loosen it up for casting, well, you back it up the other way. We did mention this is called a knuckle buster reel. When you're letting line out to cast, you will see that there is no anti-reverse. That handle is going to spin backwards, and it could quite potentially hit you. All right, let's give it a try. Oh, look at this. 70 years old. What engineering perfection. What a beautiful, smooth turning reel. I wish you could actually turn this reel with me here. It's just such a nice, easy flowing reel all around. This is your Pflueger SkilKast, number 1953. We're estimating it to be 70 years old. You'll have to go back and do a little bit of research on that. We did tell you a little bit about Ernest Pflueger, about his sons, about how they were pioneers in the industry in the 1920s, and well, how they eventually got acquired by Shakespeare. Let's test that bait alarm works too. All right, everything's working on this reel beautifully. I hope you've enjoyed the video, and well, I hope you stay watching, and hope you subscribe if you haven't subscribed, if you enjoy these, and take the time to use that notification button as well. Before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, and all the folks that are involved day in and day out in keeping us out of harm's way. And I want to thank everybody who's watching. You are the people that make this channel what it is, and I enjoy doing the videos, listening to your comments, and well, trying to help you out as I try to teach you how to service and keep your reels fishing, and if one's broken, how to give it a second chance. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Wishing everybody a great day.